I've been meaning to ask you, what does sweet as mean? Because I know you say that in messages. You're always like, oh, you reply sweet as, but I don't know, like, and your shirt says it, but what is that? Like, is that an Aussie thing or what?
Yeah, Aussie. Actually, I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure Aussies say it, but it's very much a Kiwi thing.
Kiwi thing.
Like, so sweet as is the same kind of thing as like, yep, all good. So it's
like, because we say, like, I'll say sweet, like somebody will like be like say something and I'll be like, oh, sweet, like, okay, cool, good, that's awesome, whatever. Yeah. But you tag the as on the end, and I was always so confused, like, sweet as.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so true, eh? Like, yeah, I think Aussies will say, oh, sweet. But for some reason, when I just realised that Kiwis just say sweet as, and I started adopting it accidentally because you hear it all the time. And now it's just like, sweet as. Oh,
I'm just saying that if I start saying that here, because I always say sweet, and I'm going to start saying sweet as, and my friends are going to look at me like, what the hell did she just say? Why is she saying as? She's saying ass or as?
Yeah.
Strength, power, confidence. We are not here to be the victims of sexual abuse. We're here to disrupt the energy around sexual abuse, helping victims and survivors recreate their story to live an empowered life.
I'm Officer Borders.
And I'm Firefighter Pierce.
Join us as we raise the roof and open the doors to new possibilities. Personal redemption starts here.
Welcome to the Disruptive Response Podcast.
It's your time to shine.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Grant, how have you been the last few weeks?
Hey, Jelena, how are you, mate? It's been an interesting few weeks. I could say that I have let probably life and things that I've had to get done get in the way of us creating more content for our YouTube podcast series.
Yeah. Same here, obviously. Same here. So everybody watching, hi, you guys. Grant and I were gone for a few weeks. I'm so sorry about that, but we are back, and we're going to talk to you about kind of, I guess, why we've been gone for a few weeks. Grant, I know you've been busy. You've had work, and you have all of your projects that you're working on, and just, you know what, that's life. Like, life happens. Life gets in the way, and it sure the heck did for me. 4 kids that are home for summer. We're about to start homeschooling them because schools are still closed here in Arizona, and so it's just been a lot of life. But then also, like, the world has just sucked the life out of me lately. There's just so much crap going on right now, like there's COVID. Our state is still majorly shut down. It's difficult to go out anywhere. Like, no one has any social lives anymore. The kids and I are just cooped up most of the time. And then you go on social media or you turn on the TV, and all it is just negativity after negativity. And what really got to me these past few weeks is all of this child trafficking, sex trafficking of children that has been brought to light. And it's a great thing that it's finally being brought to light, and it's right in front of our faces right now, because it's forcing people to acknowledge the fact that this is happening, and it's happening in front of us, and that we have to do something about it. But at the same time, myself being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, it's just been so overwhelming to hear all of this and to see how widespread it is. And it's been overwhelming. And I will be the first to admit that I struggle with anxiety and depression on a regular basis. So just everything combined has sucked the life out of me lately. And it's been hard for you and I to have the energy to make our schedules work. We're in different countries and trying to make our schedules work to record these episodes. But that's actually what Grant and I are going to talk to you guys about today, is how we plan on just moving forward with these episodes and delivering excellent content for you guys. There's so many of you guys that are tuning in to these episodes each week, and this is really new for Grant and I both. We've never done anything like this. This is totally out of our element, totally new. We're figuring it out as we go along, so we wanted to really thank you guys all for your patience with us as we navigate this. But how we're going to move forward with our episodes is what we're going to talk about today. We are going to pivot on purpose. And what that means is that we're right here with our podcast and we want to be over here. So we're just got a few episodes so far. We took a few weeks off in between. We want to be over here where we are consistently bringing you guys the content that you want to hear and that you need to hear, so that way you can move forward in your journey of healing. And so, yeah, we're gonna pivot on purpose, and we're gonna get into that a little bit. But Grant, do you have anything to add before I kind of go into pivoting on purpose and what I mean by that?
I think you wrapped that up in a nutshell, like perfectly. I would probably just add to that, I think that just in a nutshell, pivoting on purpose is such a great way of defining it, just because it is literally that. We our apologies, guys, for us kind of just disappearing for that few weeks, whatever it's been. Really, if I'm brutally honest, there is no excuse for us not showing up for you guys. In essence, this is something we've both realised in ourselves, and it's that consistency that all of you guys need from us. But this is where we really want to step up to the plate more, and we know we're going to make mistakes or fail as we move along this journey. But now this is for us to step up and not make excuses for being too busy, to be able to really get this off the ground and do what it needs to do for our society.
Yep, absolutely. And life does get really busy, and it's not like it is an excuse though. Like it's not, and it is. Like sometimes you just can't help how busy life gets. Like there's things that you've got to do that have to take priority. Family, work, this and that. But at the same time, it's also an excuse. It's easy to be like, hey, I'm really tired, or hey, I'm just not up for it today, or hey, I've got this going on, and it is easy. But I think we make excuses with so many areas of our life. Like everything is so easy to make an excuse to get out of doing this or to get out of doing that, or to just excuses within ourselves, like I'm not good enough, that person does it better than me. We play comparison games, and everything becomes one big excuse. And that's something that I recognize that I've done like my whole life. I make excuses, and my biggest excuse that I've made is it has to deal with my self-worth. Like I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to put effort, or I'm going to give up. And that's where in the past when I see myself here and I know I want to go here, whether it's in regards to anything, a relationship, a friendship, a career, a project I'm working on, I see point A and point B, and to get where I'm at shitty place in my life, in whatever aspect it is, if I'm in a shitty place in my life, I literally have to make the decision to pivot on purpose and to turn. And so pivot means to rotate, to turn, to spin, to swivel. So I have to make that decision to go from here and turn it around and pivot to get to where I want to go. And like Grant, I don't know about for you, but so for me, when I recognize that I'm off track and I need to pivot to get back on track, I recognize within myself that my past, there's always something in my past that is causing that distraction or causing those excuses. And so for me, I have to acknowledge whatever it is in my past, like the trauma, experience, whatever it was in my past, I have to acknowledge that so I can identify what it is that's getting in my way. Like it's my self-worth, or it's just this experience that I've been through, and it's I'm terrified to try this thing because of what my past experiences have been. So I identify my past and how that's affecting me in my present. And so if I can say that this thing from my past is affecting me this way today, then it's like, okay, I know what the problem is, and now I can find a solution to my problem, which is right here in the present. And then the other thing I think about is the future. Like, how do I want what I'm doing right now in the present to affect my future? Because I create the future that I want, in regards to this podcast. We talk, Grant, about what we want the future of this podcast to look like for our audience. What kind of how we want to help you guys grow and heal and move forward and be empowered. And so when we focus on the future, it's easy to set those goals right now for the present. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And those are just kind of my steps that I go through when I need to pivot on purpose is what's in my past what from my past is affecting me in the present, and how can I take care of the things in my present to better my future.
Yes, I love that. It really highlighted for me as well that pivoting with purpose is it's never going to be. Sometimes, when we start anything in life, often we start with a huge amount of passion and motivation, and it's like it's great. But then the reality of what you're doing, any goal you set about in life, you hit the reality button or the reality check where it's like, when it's all of a sudden the motivation wiped away, and you have to rely on that a new habit, or you have to literally rely on just that getting out of your own way, as just put perfectly. And I think part of that, as you say, like the worthiness as well, all of a sudden those things creep in as you go along on any journey, whether it's a fitness goal, whether it's a podcast, whether it's you moving forward for healing. Literally, even healing can be one of those processes. You get motivated to make a decision to really move your life forward, and then all of a sudden the worthiness, the anxiety, or whatever it may be, can all of a sudden creep in and stop you dead in your tracks. And it's important to really notice those impacts in your life when they hit you, because it's those moments that you have to just to try and put this in the best light. It's those moments where you feel your brain wanting to go and hide in the corner, but you have to sort of move. You have to acknowledge where that's happening and realize that, okay, I can feel that I'm feeling like this way. I don't feel like I want to do this, but still making that decision to move forward. If that makes sense. And again, like for us, if I'm brutally honest, I know that's like I was busy. I had my car that had broken down. I had all these bits and bobs going on, but if I'm brutally honest, it was my worthiness of doing this that has made me make the excuses or over those few weeks around not being available to do this podcast, because the worthiness was making me feel like, who am I to be doing this? Like, no one's going to want to listen to this. It's all those unworthy thoughts was stopping me in my tracks, and it's like, I'm so glad that I'm actually able to do this with you, Delina, because in part it allows me to be accountable to you, and it allows you to be accountable to me. And if I was just doing this on my own, I don't know that I would have been able to pivot with purpose. Because, guys, if you're listening as well, pivoting with purpose, sometimes when we're in our own mind and body, it's really, really hard to pivot with purpose when you've got to rely on your own decision-making. Hence why sometimes it's really, really great to find a person or anyone. So reflecting back on abuse, again, and moving your life forward with self-love and these things, you may have a story you never told anyone before. So it potentially could be us that you want to reach out to be able to share your story and allow us to keep you accountable in what it is that you want to do to move your life forward with self-love, growth, and healing to actually move your life forward.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just having an accountability buddy, but also somebody to help you create a plan. Like if you sit down and you identify some things from your past and how it's affecting your present and where you want to be in the future, that can be all great. Like, okay, I have a few ideas, but now what do I do with it? And that's where you might need somebody you could do this on your own, or you might need somebody to help you to say okay, here's some goals. Here's some short-term goals. Here's some long-term goals. Here's what I can start doing, baby steps to start going through my healing journey. Here's what, long-term I need to be doing. But just having somebody to help put a plan in place, and to help create that, because it's overwhelming. Anything in life is overwhelming. And especially when you're talking about trying to heal from such trauma, like sexual abuse, it's okay to need an accountability buddy and somebody to help you like figure out like for you what might be the best thing. And again, Grant and I are not counselors or anything like that. We're not licensed therapists. We're just people who have been through our own experiences, and we to try to help others. But Grant, you said a lot of really like great things that I want to kind of backtrack on. You talked about resistance, accountability, and consistency. So like there's resistance is always going to come up in everything we do, especially where trauma is involved, where there's always going to be like, you get that excitement. You're like, oh, like for a diet example, like, oh, I'm starting my diet on Monday, and you get to Wednesday and you're eating really healthy and you're drinking your water and you're going on your walks. And then Thursday comes around, Friday comes around, and you're like, let me just have this one soda or this one piece of whatever. And there's that resistance. And like, if you, okay, I'm going to, Grant, don't get mad. I'm going to go back to something you told me the other week, and hopefully that's okay. When you were doing all of your repairs in your shop, in your garage, and you had to work and blah, 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 and you did not feel like putting all of your tools away. You just were like, oh, it's just so much easier if I just go to bed right now. But then you knew that you would have that mess to deal with the following day. So you're like, let me just spend a few minutes, put all my tools away, get it all organized, and then go to bed, right? So there's always an easier way, like, I don't want to deal with this right now, so I'm just going to leave it for later. But I remember you telling me that, like, you're like, nope, I'm just going to suck it up. I'm just going to do it right now. And then you did, and you felt so much better the rest of your night, because you had gotten that done and out of the way, and you didn't, like, put it off until later. And the next day you would have woken up and been like, crap, I still have to go deal with all that shit from yesterday.
And the real, just to quickly add to that story, the key to that story as well is that and this, if you guys listen to, if it's something you got to do and you're not feeling like you want to do it, the way that I was able to get around my conditioning of just going to bed because I didn't feel like doing it was just thinking, look, you know what? I'll just start with picking up 10 tools right now and putting them away. Now we're talking, I had tools, way more than 10 tools sitting around, not to mention the mess that was just on the ground everywhere. But what I decided is often we see it that the whole job looks like it's a monstrosity. It's going to take us forever. And so what I was able to do was just go, well, you know what? Let's just put a few tools away. So by the time I started putting those few tools away, I was already in the momentum. Now really take that on board, because momentum, once you're in momentum, you will keep going. The problem is when we take something new on and we don't take the momentum to start off with, we will never start. So by taking the first 10 tools, what happened? I was just like, I'll just pick one more tool up. And before you know it, the whole shed was clean. So that was just the identifying point. And even, with this for us, Delaney, just even with the podcast, YouTube, however you want to look at it, it is that importance of, rather than looking at the big picture or the perfection side of it, is just going, you know what? All we need to do is just set up a time first. Don't even worry about. And once you're in that momentum of getting on these tools, then the magic happens.
Yes. I love all of that. I love that, like, how you pointed out the big picture can seem really overwhelming, but when you just do small steps at a time and then you get that momentum that leads into, it gets you from point A to point B. Like, that helps you to pivot when you just, you see the big picture, but you're taking the goals, those small steps to get there, and you're building momentum along the way, and you're having an accountability buddy to kind of hold, help you, check in on you. Hey, how are you doing? How's this going? Encourage you, empower you, support you, lift you up. And like, when you have that positive energy around you, it's so much easier to continue your momentum. And then that leads to consistency. And the more that you do something, the easier that it becomes, right? So like, the first time you try anything, even if it's just, I'm going to try to make my bed every day, which I can't, kudos to you, your bed's made. I cannot make my bed every day. My kids come and jump on it and they just mess up the whole thing. So it's like not even worth it. But so that's a bad example. But like, anytime you're trying something new, it's it's going to suck. But the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. The more you do it, the more you learn. The more you do it, the more mistakes that you make. And you say, okay, I want to maybe pivot this way a little, you know, and it's okay. Like, you don't have to do a full 180. Like, you can just, you know, you can pivot side to side and however it needs to look for you, as long as you're just moving from point A closer to point B where you want to be. But that consistency is going to become a habit, a routine. And until something becomes a routine, it's going to be hard and it's going to suck, but it can't become a routine and a habit unless you keep doing it and you keep taking those small steps. And so, you know, like when we're talking about podcasting, like, okay, that's where Grant and I are going to be like, you know what, we're not going to let our get in the way. We're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to be consistent. We're going to keep that momentum going, right? Because we want to show up for you guys every week. We want to show up because you guys are responding. We're getting messages from you guys, and we're getting, hey, can you guys talk about this? Or hey, like I have this going on, or this friend, or blah. And it's amazing, like, because we want to serve you guys, and that's what we're here for. And so we're going to keep going with this, but it's a great example, like how we took a few weeks off because life just got crazy and we fell off track. That is life. That happens. And it's when we're talking to an audience of people, like people who have been through sexual abuse or are going through it or know somebody that's going through it. It is so easy to fall down and to fall off track and to lose your way, to lose your sight, to lose vision of the bigger picture. Especially trauma, like when you're trying to heal from trauma, like it's so, you want to give up on yourself so many times, right? Like it's so easy to feel like it's too hard, it's too overwhelming, you're not worthy of it. Any of that stuff that's going on, it's normal, but if you don't make that decision to pivot on purpose, for purpose, with purpose, the purpose of, I want my life to be this over here, this vision that I have for my life, I want to get from where I'm at now to that because I deserve that. Because you guys deserve that. You guys deserve to heal, and you deserve to have the life that you want for yourself, whatever that might be. And so, I mean, pivot on purpose. It's just, I think that's something to keep in mind for everything that's going on in your life. You know, yeah.
I love it. When you told me that, pivot with purpose, I just thought that was such a great catchphrase to use for life in general. Like, I mean, you can slot that into all areas of life, literally. And guys, no matter wherever your journey is at currently, for you to move forward in your life, like, you know, in the healing process of moving your life forward to become, you know, more confident, more self-love, all these things require so many different modalities to bring your life forward. You know, some people, and there's no wrong and right with this either. Like, you know, if you're a male, it may be, you know, for me over the years, one of the biggest things I did was exercise. That was my way of building my worth. And there's no wrong and right? So that was what I did for 10 years. However, it just, over the years, added to that, and then it became like, call it self-help, if you will, which was personal development books. I started using that as another tool, which then by reading them, that allowed me to start going, I could start, you know, and then as we spoke with Ed the other day, you know, the 4 Agreements, that was one of my first books that I remember reading. And all of a sudden, it started to expand my horizons on what the possibilities were of building my worth. So, again, if you're listening, there is no wrong and right to healing. Just whatever you choose, the pivoting point or pivoting with purpose, that's what it's all about. When you hit that roadblock where you just don't feel like doing it, another thing I want to say with pivoting with purpose, when you take something new on board, just remember that something new is not ingrained in our habits. So with a new habit, we need at least 60 days for it to actually become ingrained. No, sorry. 66 days, I think, is to undo an old habit that doesn't work for us. I think it's meant to be like 30 days to have a new habit ingrained in us. But one of the things, so often habits are around us wanting to undo old habits that aren't working for us. So as you just sort of primarily pointed out with the diet, one of the things is we're so accustomed in our habits to eating the junk food or whatever it may be, it's a big change. So I like that as an example because everyone can kind of relate to food and that sort of thing. So one of the things I've noticed is that we have to look at the compound effect over a long period of time. So if we're wanting to move our lives forward, one of the things that if we start like a diet, right, and after a month we fall off the bandwagon and we go back to our old habits, what happens is you might have 6 months of just being off your bandwagon, of just falling off, the wheels falling off, but in 6 months' time you get back to it again. You start a new diet, and then as time goes by over years, you will find that those gaps between, like that might be in 6 months you had the wheels fell off the wagon. Then all of a sudden the next time it might be 5 months, and the next time it might be 4 months. But in the long run, the compound effect, when you keep doing something new as a new habit, eventually you get tired of making excuses for yourself, and 2-3 years down the track, and it could be longer. This process could be 10 years for someone if you've had a lifetime of a habit that hasn't worked for you, where your eating will just slowly get better, slowly get better, slowly get better. So it's really important to not beat yourself up if you fall off the cart. It's about just acknowledging that, okay, I've fallen off right now, and eventually you're going to get to the point where you get fed up with being fed up. So you get back into the process of moving your life forward again. And each time those gaps become less and less and less. Like a prime example is I don't drink coffee anymore. The first time I gave up coffee, I gave up for like 3 months, and then boom, I got straight back onto it again. The next time, it was 2 months I gave up the coffee for. 3 months I gave it up. I went back on coffee for like 2 months, and then each time, and now I've given up coffee on the third time, and it's been 6-7 months that I haven't drank it. Like, that was an easy habit for me to kick. It only took effectively 12 months to kick that habit. You know, like, and I'm not saying anything about coffee. That this isn't to, get on the bandwagon that coffee's bad for you. I just got off coffee because it's really bad for my digestive system. So,
Yeah. And yeah, that's awesome because it's so true. Like, when you try something and it's hard and to give up, right? Or it doesn't work out, and so why try again? Or, well, like Grant just said, like every time that you try and you fail, the gaps are going to close. And so, like, yeah, you're going to keep failing, but your gap is going to close, and you're going to start getting better and better, or figuring out new ways. And just like, I think for us, Grant, as survivors of sexual abuse, it's hard for us to not give up on ourselves because the pain that we went through is just like, it's unspeakable, like it's unbearable at times. And it's easy for us to give up on ourselves, maybe because the people around us or the person who did this to us, like I'm not saying, I don't know what I'm trying to say there. Sometimes my mind just goes a million different places, but it's just, it's that consistency. And then when you start to feel yourself, falling down or having that accountability and just keeping focused on like why you're pivoting. So like you can say you want to go from point A to point B, but if you don't understand why you're doing that, then you're not going to have any motivation to get back up and to keep trying and to close those gaps. And so like, that's what, when we say like pivot on purpose, for purpose, with purpose, you have to identify what that purpose is. Why are you doing this? Like, whatever it is, like you could be listening right now and you might want to go on a diet. You might want to start a new habit, being more consistent with your projects or whatever it might be. Or if you're listening and you're somebody who's been through sexual abuse and you're like, you know what, I'm done feeling like crap all the time. I want to have a good life. I don't want to let what this person did to me against my will, that I am not responsible for. It was not my fault, and I want to move forward and heal from that. You have to identify your purpose. Like, why Why do you want to go from point A to point B? And that why, that purpose has to be stronger than all the excuses that are going to get in your way. And so when you know, you identify your purpose, why am I doing this? All those excuses, you know what? They're going to come up. They're going to suck. You're going to work through them because you're going to be resistant. You're going to have accountability. You're going to have consistency. And you're going to have your purpose. And I guess, like, I want to tell anybody listening right now, like, your purpose, like, why are you doing this? It should be because you are worthy. Like, you are enough. You are worthy of healing. You're worthy of creating the life that you want. You're worthy of going from point A to point B. You're worthy. Like, maybe you've never had anybody tell you this before. You deserve that. You deserve that for yourself. You're worthy of that. And that, I mean, if you don't have any other reason for wanting to pivot, let that be your reason, that you're worthy. You freaking deserve it, and you need to go for it, because and that can be it. Or you can add on all the other things that, like, the other reasons why you want to pivot, like what your purpose is, but have that purpose, and that's going to help you pivot. And I guess, you know, kind of cool to ask everybody to send us a message. Like, you can send us a message on Facebook at the Disruptive Response Podcast, or you can email us, disruptiveresponse@gmail.com. You can go on our website, disruptiveresponse.com, and send us a message, like, on any of those places, or on Instagram too. Send us a message and, like, let us know what your purpose is. Like, if you're going to pivot on purpose, what is your purpose? I don't know about you, Grant, but I would be curious to hear from anybody listening, and, like, what's your purpose, and let us be your accountability buddies, because if you send us that message, you better believe that Grant and I are going to, like, follow up and be like your biggest supporters, your biggest cheerleaders. We're going to chat and be like, hey, how's this week going for you? We don't want to just be having conversation. I mean, Grant, I love talking with you. We always have great conversations, but, like, I think we both agree, like, we want to be hearing from other people and having conversations, like, continuing these conversations off camera with the people who are listening. So that's what we're here for. So.
Yeah. I think that's an awesome idea. I mean, as you're aware as well, like, I've had that lady that's reached out to me, and just for her privacy reasons, you know who that is. Like, there's not much I can do for her in that element, but just knowing that I can be a backing board for her, just to bounce off, to know that she is going on the right journey. Like, that's nice, knowing that I can just be that backing board for her, just to go, you know what, you've got it, go for gold. You know, however I can back you up, I'm there for you 100%. You know,
yeah, absolutely. Just having somebody to listen is huge. Just having, and if you know, you don't necessarily, if you don't want to reach out to Grant and I, that's fine too. Like, find a friend, find a family member, find just a stranger, find somebody to be your sounding board, to kind of bounce ideas off of, and to listen, because when you speak it out loud, if it's just in your head and it never leaves your head, it's easy to stop pivoting, because it's just in your head. But when you speak it out loud to another person, or when you write it down, it becomes more of a reality, and it's going to encourage you, you know, because you've already put it out there into the world. It's going to encourage you to have more follow through, and so it's going to help you to pivot. And so, like, you have to make the decision that you're going to pivot. You're going to, you know, identify your purpose, acknowledge your past, whatever it is that's blocking you, causing your roadblock in your present, and then create that plan for how you're going to get past those present roadblocks to create your future. But yeah, have some accountability, do it consistently. It's not going to be easy, but it will become easier every time you do it. And like, you guys, Grant and I will lead by example, and we'll show you guys, you know, like, these podcast episodes, that we want to be accountable to you guys. And if you guys ever feel us slipping, then you better call us out on it. And we just want to be able to be the same for you, and help you to pivot on purpose. So yeah.
Awesome wrap up, Delena. I thought that was great, and I'm not even sure what the time is, but I'm kind of guessing we've probably come to a nice little for an episode, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we'll just end there and tell everybody, I hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you guys next week, and reach out to us if you want to. If you could also please share this, whether you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, or if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, if you can tag somebody who needs to hear it, if you can share it to them, email it, text it to them, whatever, we would really appreciate it. We're not, Grant and I aren't out here trying to like get followers on Instagram or anything. We're just out here legit trying to help people, and people will not know about this show if you guys don't tell them. So if you know anybody who might gain anything from listening to us talk, if you guys could please share this with them, we'd really appreciate it. So, all right. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Woo! See you guys.